The other option you have, and I hesitate to mention this, but it's worth pointing out, is walking away. The city has suffered under his rule for a number of years now, 4 of them to be precise, and while we're doing what we can to make the city as good as it can be from the outside, there's no reason for outsiders like you to feel like you have to get involved. We would greatly appreciate any help, but you are by no means required to do anything.
It's not an option.
I knew you'd say that.
Yeah, even Tessian agrees. I think maybe there's a little reluctance in his voice, but he's like, it's part of my duties to ensure that this kingdom, even outside my own family's realm, runs well and takes care of its people. And this city appears broken and flawed in ways that do need to be fixed one way or the other.
What will you do, Tessian, if the Empire does know exactly what's happening here?
Tessian's like, then it will be fixed one way or the other. You seem to think that I'm some sort of lapdog, I think, Stuart. If the Empire is broken on the inside, I will do everything in my power, and I'm sure my mother will back me up on this, but we will fix it. We may have sworn allegiance to the Empire, but if they choose to betray what it means to rule, we'll stand against them if need be.
I don't know that you're a lapdog. I just want to make sure.
And Tessian's like, I just think that perhaps you don't understand the repercussions of what you do, Stuart. There are lives that have to continue after you've moved on out of town, after the body count has been tallied.
I understand, but I've gone my whole life doing nothing. I know what that is. For once, I'm going to try to do something and see where that takes me.
Tessian says, well, I am all for us looking into what's going on here, investigating it, and if need be, we can take action against him, whether that be stealing his finances or striking out against the man himself. But I would like more information about what's going on here, for in either way, whichever route we take. I would like to see if I can approach Whitver as a fellow noble, and if he rebuffs me and turns me away, so be it, but I would hope my name carries at least some sort of weight, and perhaps if we can at least get inside the walls that way, we might be able to get a look around, at least a few of us, and maybe get an idea of what we're up against before we pursue another avenue.
If that doesn't work, can we interrogate a guard?
Depends on what you mean by interrogate, Karash. And if we can do it discreetly, then I don't know why not.
I'm asking Gothak.
No.
Well, if you're asking me, that would be my approach, yeah. I love interrogating.
Of course.
You can be my wingman anytime. Is there, this is an aside, do we have a way to, not walkie-talkies, but, sending stones or anything to talk remotely in this world?
In the world, those things do exist, yes.
Like,
don't have any of
I
that.
guess, if he's not willing to meet in person, is there a chance that he would set something up remotely so he can at least talk to Tessian?
Like if he has a hotline?
Letter, for Pete's sake?
Yeah.
No,
Can we Skype in with Whitwer?
Yeah, just give him his email address,
Used
Chris.
to call me on your cell phone.
I will say, given your knowledge of the world, it is possible that someone like Whitwer would have access to, I would say technology is not the right word, especially in a world
Right.
like this where technology exists. But you know what I mean? Like, the means of doing so, whether or not he would be willing to do so, you'd probably have to meet with him to find out. Or at least get a message to him somehow, or, you have to establish contact somehow before he's going to be able to go further with that.
Who would we talk to?
If it even works.
Who would we talk to set up a meeting between Tessian and Thorogood?
Mina kind of thinks about this one. And she says, well, you could contact pretty much any of his guardsmen. How seriously they're going to take you is another matter entirely. Whether they're even going to be willing to listen is another matter entirely, but that's going to be the best means of approach, short of trying to send some kind of official correspondence.
Well, Tessian, how do you want to play it?
Tessian's like, well, I think it's worth a shot. I'd like to approach the guards. If that doesn't work, we can send a correspondence. I think that's the first. I think that's where we should start. And if we can, perhaps me and, if they allow us entry, I mean, perhaps me and one of a few of you, acting as my personal bodyguard, could accompany me inside. If not, we may have to use a bit of deception on our part. But if we could get a look around, get some names, get some faces, that may assist us once we sneak in onto the other side.
This is the point where I have to ask out of character, because I don't remember, because it's been a long time. But does Grail have a disguise kit?
I was just going to say that. Well, so I don't know if I have a disguise kit, but I do have a disguise self spell.
Okay.
So I was just about to offer that as a potential for like Tessian's kind of entourage, or potentially for any kind of, I don't know, covert operations as being a guard. I will say though, I feel like that is a little terrifying, especially in the face of Whitmer, who seems like he knows his guard very well. I don't think I could keep up that kind of thing very, very well. But I'm going to check just a second.
Well, why don't we just see? Let's collect information. We don't know if we can set up a meeting anyways.
And Tessian's like, I agree. I think we need to look around a little bit more.
Let's have Tessian try to set up an official meeting and go from there.
Gothak kind of looks you over for a second. He says, one final warning. Whitwer is not the type of man that... Where I come from, we look down on people like him, because he surrounds himself with power and doesn't possess a whole lot of it himself. He's a silver-tongued type, slithery. Just no matter how you manage to find your way in, whether it's setting up a meeting or going through alternate channels or storming up to the front gate, just be careful with him. In my limited dealings with him, because he kind of keeps it hands-off as far as how I run things in my shop, he's the type of person that I don't trust at all. I assume he would say something to my face and immediately turn around and say something different behind my back. So just, however you guys go about this, just be careful. And in your quest for information around the city, ask questions, but not too many. Attracting attention, as you've probably noticed from the way people act in the city, is maybe the worst thing you can do.
That is a risk you run, Tessian, with this plan.
And
If you
Tessian is
want
like,
to get on his radar, you just might.
it's like, well, you have to understand that I do have certain obligations. And the one thing I can't afford to do is allow myself to be caught as some sort of thief without at least attempting to patch things up amicably. I cannot just be some masked man running around without any responsibilities to myself. I need to try to handle this the right way, even if it gets me into trouble.
Understood. Then maybe it's best if we're not seen together again. Maybe we meet at the sewer. See how it goes. You report to us, and you let us know.
Tessian is like, well, the only downside with that is I may not make it out of the estate if I do go in alone. But if that is the course of action you'd like to take, then I would understand.
Should we split up? What do you think, Lena? You have been close with Tessian. Would this make sense for you to join him?
Yes, I will stay with Tessian if we're going to split up. I would rather him not go alone in there.
Yeah, I don't want him to go alone either. I do feel like my skills of disguise would be very useful in assisting Tessian.
Tessian's like, well, we don't know that I'll even get an audience first. Let's start there.
Yeah, Karash, what do you think? The sneaky approach or the talky approach?
The two things he excels in.
Right.
Yeah, not great.
Woo!
Well, if we go to the sewery approach, I imagine that's going to involve killing some things.
That's true.
So.
That's true. My only other thought is we're clear that if Karash goes with Tessie, he's not actually going to get to do any of the talking, right?
I mean, depends on the lies that I tell.
Oh, God.
Karash has had some insightful moments in a sea of non-insightful moments.
Yeah, remember when he cut that guy's arm off?
I remember that. That was very insightful. You could see
Almost cut
inside
his
the guy's
foot off.
arm.
Maybe, Karash, you could be the bodyguard. The one thing I know is I cannot join.
Yeah.
With
I
the
figured that's
mask,
probably what I would do.
I give away who I am. I'm afraid without the mask, I also give away who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say on that.
Does anybody else think that the big blue dragonborn's going to be a little obvious?
Tessian is like, it may be best for me to approach Whitver in as least. We don't want to intimidate him, and showing up with anybody but a small group of seemingly harmless individuals might scare the man into forcing me to go alone. So it may be best if me and the women we go in, we maybe dress ourselves up a little bit, we put on a good show, we appear to be the haughty nobles that you would expect, and we suss things out from there.
You sure I can pull that one off, Tessian?
And he's like, if anybody can be high class, it's you.
Aw, shucks.
Do you think I'd look harmless if you dressed me up like a halfling?
What? What?
Because it's like, my boy, I don't know that you have the height for it.
Okay, I'll go with Stuart.
My issue is if you go and you get through the gates, we have no way of knowing unless we are watching what's happening.
Yeah, we can, start clearing stuff out until they show up. At least look around.
I suppose we could scope out the gates. It doesn't hurt anything.
No, the sewer.
Yeah, the gate to the sewer is what I'm
Oh.
saying. Not the front gate of the mansion.
You weren't clear.
Yeah, you've hurt his feelings.
Oh, no.
While you guys have been talking, Mina's been digging around in the boxes on the far side of the room, and she has found some pieces of parchment, an inkwell, a pen. She doesn't have anything with, like, what do you call it? Not a letterhead, but, like an emblem on it or anything. But she has things that you can use if you're trying to write up something in particular.
Gosh. I think Tennessee was just going to sort of wing it for the time being.
Go knock on the door.
I mean, just
God.
sort of be like, hey, I'm here on behalf of my family, was looking around, you've got a nice town, maybe we could come to some sort of, I don't know, like, how do you run this place? It's so great. You're just going to talk him up, try to make him, feel like the all-important guy Tessian thinks he wants to feel like. But
Who's your wall designer? It's fabulous.
yeah. I don't know that there's anything official that he wants to do yet.
Well, the question is, how are you going to get to Whitworth for that conversation?
Right. Well, that's just it. I don't know that I don't know that Tessian's thought that far ahead. Tessian, is there anything? I know this might be a bit vague, but have you been in need of anything recently? Resources, goods, trade. I guess I haven't had a chance to look at your town's bounty board, or if you have one. But is there anything that you are in need of? Something that I could approach Whitford with?
Gothak kind of thinks it over, and he seems like he's going through his head, kind of like almost an inventory of sorts, kind of thinking over like what he has, what he doesn't have. And eventually he kind of settles on something, and he goes, well, we have been a little bit short on wood recently, because our deals with Timberbrook have been sketchy lately, to say the least. So we're not like in a severe shortage, but it is something that we are not as flush in as we should be in this area. There's a few other little things, but that's the main one that comes to mind.
And I guess this is sort of an out of character question. Do we know what the town is like famous for? What's their export here? Like what do they do in this town?
Sadness.
Well, yeah. Other than that, like
Baby's tears.
Is this like a mining town? Is this like what do they do? Like that's one side of this, but like it's gonna be hard to just show up and be like, oh hey, we're gonna give you wood, nothing in return. This isn't fishy. Like
the main stuff
I
that
can
goes
make,
on.
like a history check if you need me to or something.
Yeah,
but,
sure. Go ahead and roll one. This is kind of fun.
Wait, who's that?
Yeah, Jason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Lena, you would be rolling a history check with disadvantage.
That's
okay, so
probably
I
accurate.
crit, so 24.
Okay.
Jesus.
Casual, natural
Okay.
20 on the only roll today so far.
Hold your horses, Tessian.
Apparently, I
Save
know
it
a
for
lot
when
more
it
than
matters. Jesus.
I know more than I'm letting on. I apologize, guys.
Somehow you know all about the city's exports, but didn't know about the burlesque. It's
Yeah.
a weird way the dice work.
He's just classier than that.
Even though you
Jesus.
care more about the burlesque than any of the exports.
Yeah, but you don't hear about that, not word of mouth.
That's true. You just the right words didn't reach your ears. Falstock is known somewhat for fishing because of its proximity to the inlet from the sea to the east. It is, from what you've heard, one of the... Let's see, how would you have heard this information? It is one of the leading manufacturers of metals. It is not a mining town, but it is one of the places that people go to, like, melt them down or to repurpose them for other needs. So it's part of why the town is more technologically developed than like a Sagara Cove was or any of the other smaller places you've been to this point. And that includes places like Denard, where Grail and Stewart were from the prologue, stuff like that. Like, there is more happening technologically here, and that might be a part of the reason why. So a lot of metals come through here. Fishing's a decent one. They don't really make anything of their own in this place, but those are two of the main goods that this place is known for.
Then I guess I'm trying to think the best way to do this. Tessian will take the paper that she's got, and he'll write up. How would you do this? He's going to sort of write up like what would be like a deal, like not like a contract, but like
An offer?
like an offer, so to speak. And essentially, it's pretty much just going to be metal for wood, essentially.
Oh my god, it's Catan.
It is, yeah. No
Nice
sheep were
sheep
involved in
for
this
your
one,
wood.
but metal for wood. And I mean, if he needs to put more like a little bit of detail on it, he'll sort of detail that like, they've got excess wood from, some of the like the cryptwood, other things around Black Harbor that they can help provide. And then he'll sort of reference like his father's initiative, some of his father's initiatives, and a need for metal. And given that they're both coastal cities, it would be easy to facilitate trade between the two of them. Essentially, just make it look like an actual offer. It's probably not even a bad offer in the first place, but for the sake of this, that's sort of what he's dolling it up for. That's kind of what he wants.
Okay.
Do a handwriting check. Gothrak, while he is writing this out, you said he never, Thorogood never comes out. He only has his guards, but surely, especially in a city based on fear, there's a head guard or someone in charge. In Minikato's Revenge, for example, there's a sheriff figure who really goes around and is the figurehead. Who is that here? Who is someone that Tessian can go straight up to and set this meeting up with?
He really doesn't have one. That's part of what's made him stand out, is that instead of having one main person who could be more corruptible, he has them all in equal standing. And as such, they're all paid equally, they assume equal responsibilities, which prevents any one person from feeling like, oh, well, maybe I could rally this guard to take out Whitwer myself. He's pretty conniving when it comes to this stuff, to the point where I don't think you're going to find any one person that really sticks out. That may benefit you when it comes to more of the disguise approach, if you guys still approach that the way you talked about, but it will hurt in terms of trying to find one person who sticks out as a figurehead.
My fiction has not helped.
But it would, I guess Tessian looks up from his writing. He's like, but it would help us turn the guards against each other if we could convince them that a few of them or one of them was being paid more than the others. If we can create a sense of inequality, then that may suit us. And he goes back to writing.
Regarding the sewer, then, do you have a map? How do we get to this location?
There's an entrance to the sewers not far from here in the center part of town, and from there you're just going to have to head due north. The sewers do kind of tunnel throughout the city, and there is a bit of a maze-like quality to them, but for the most part, if you head north, you'll find the other exit pretty quickly, because as you get closer to it, you'll have the source of light that's different from other areas in the bottom. There's no maps of it, especially because it hasn't been used by people for God knows how long. That sewer system predates either me or Mina, and I think it's been there for maybe 100 years or more. But from being down there, as long as you can keep a general sense of your direction, finding your way to the exit that leads into the manor should not be that difficult.
Do you want to come join us for the fun?
What do you think, Gothrak?
He kind of chuckles. He's like, well... He kind of like he's sort of like thinking while he's doing this. It's like it seems to be the way he thinks about things. He's like, I do enjoy a good dust up. I could only go into the sewers. I couldn't possibly come out in the manor because being spotted by any of the guards, I'm too well known around here. It would undermine everything I've built. But I could provide some help in the sewers, sure.
Help is help.
While Tessian's writing, I'm going to go to Grail. I'm going to say, how do you feel about this? He said it's a show, but this is no burlesque. You have to be on guard.
I know. I don't know. I'm not feeling super confident about it, but I trust we can get this done. We got to get this done for the people of this town. We got to.
I know you should be careful, and that's true. But then I but kind of grab her shoulder, and I'm like, but you can do this. Don't be afraid of your capability.
Aw, Stuart. Thank you. And you be safe as well. I don't know what's going to await you in them sewers.
We'll see you on the other side for sure, if not sooner.
All right, that sounds good. Take care of yourself.
Tessian, how's the writing coming?
That's a great question. How's the writing coming?
Pretty good, yeah. I feel like you're writing very well.
Okay.
That's
Probably
about it.
Probably about done by this time, yeah.
There we go. Oh, there it is.
Oh.
Oh, well, look at. Oh, well, I'm finished up here. Rolls up.
Lena actually does want to ask if all three of us are going to go. Are we going to dress up? Is she going to be like your bodyguard, and then I can be some noble, fancy woman? I would probably need fancy clothes for that if I did.
Yeah, that's a good question. I could go either way. But no, I mean, I have disguise on my side, so I can be whatever you would wish me to be, Tessian.
Tessian is like, well, Grail, I would only ever want you to be yourself.
Aw.
But perhaps a bit of a... Maybe we should swing by the market and see if we can find some finer clothing for everyone. And perhaps it wouldn't be too out of character for me to show up with 2 women at my side.
I see what you're putting down. I'm picking it up.
Gothak kind of chimes in. He's like, actually, I can probably take care of those arrangements. You are talking to the main salesman in town. It would not be difficult for me to reach out to somebody in my market and find what you're looking for. Tell you what, I'll even give you a deal. I think it's going to come out to about 4 gold, but give me 2, and I'll make it happen.
Wow.
Starting
I
to like
think-
this guy.
Yeah.
See, since I'm holding all the party's gold, yeah, definitely. Just,
Right.
Tessian going full-on pimp, has all the money, now putting girls on his arms.
yeah, Tessian gives him, I don't know, 2 gold.
Tessie, make it inhale.
Just tosses him the pieces of gold.
So Mina now, as you're doing that, says, I wish you luck in however this goes. If you need anything else from me, let me know. I will extend your lodging as long as you stay in the city. But just know that if for some reason that you're spotted and people trace it back to here, I'll have to deny any involvement. You guys will be out of a room immediately. I can't have that happen here.
I understand. I totally understand. You can't expect that from you.
Understood. But just know that by tomorrow, there will be a new order in this town.
Oh dear.
Do you guys know anybody else who'd be willing to help us in a, stabby, cutty kind of way?
Well, for the most part, anybody who comes through here typically doesn't stay. We don't have a great many adventurer types in the city because anybody who is skillful doesn't want to have to pay the tax to be here. I can ask around and see on short notice if there's anybody who's both capable and willing to put themselves on the line against Whitwer. I wouldn't hold out hope, but I will go through my channels and see what I can find.
And Tessian will be like, well, I mean, obviously we're not going against Whitfer, but I mean, a expedition to the sewers to clean things up. Maybe that would get you some more assistance.
And she kind of smiles at Tessian and she says, I like the way you think outside of the box, but if they're caught with you, the association will be just the same as if they had come on Whitwer himself. There is an inherent risk in anything that escapes his notice as soon as it's found out. So people may be more willing to go along with it if that's the case, but the potential danger is still the same. If they're caught in league with someone against Whitwer, they will be executed. But there still may be people who are willing to free this city from oppression who might be willing to take the risk. And if there are, I will find out. Just know that it's a tough sell for someone who is as intertwined in the city as Whitwer is.
Mina, before we part ways, I have one more favor to ask.
Sure.
In the coming days, when people ask, who brought justice and freedom to this city?
Can I put my hand over his mouth
Freed
before
the
he finishes?
people from the shackles of their oppression.
You can put your hand over his mouth, yes. So
Please let them know
the shackles of...
that it was the seekers of truth.
No.
Unless you're going to try to break free from this grapple, Sean.
Yes, the seekers of truth. Please memorize it. I slipped into Russian. See, I'm doing too much at once. The seekers of truth.
Okay.
They have brought justice to this town.
Tessian is like, that's not true. None of that.
It is true.
Give us some time,
It
and
is the
hopefully
seekers
we
of
will be able to
truth.
turn this around.
What? Why would we want people knowing our names? That just seems like a good way to attract trouble.
It's a good kind of trouble. We have to exist as a symbol, Karash.
I'm just going to lean over to whoever's nearest me that isn't Stuart and go, I think he might be some kind of an idiot.
And Gothak, who's the person that you're next to, leans back over and he goes, "You're right, he doesn't even know what my name is."
Gothrak.
You did call him Gothrak, so
Yeah, it's been that way the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, and in case you're wondering, this Ayla McPherson has a book titled Cassian's Vengeance and Minikato's Revenge. So that's what I'm reading.
Sure. Okay, so plan seems to be in place. We are coming up at the end of this particular session, so it's better if we don't really launch into any of it at this moment. But just to make sure, so Tessin, you're going to go deliver this again, whatever you want to call it, bill of goods, but it's not really a bill of goods. But you know what I mean?
It's like an offer.
Offer
Yeah,
sheet.
this offer sheet, this potential contract. That's not even really a contract, but you know what I mean. Like this.
We clearly have a lot of businessmen in the group here. Can you tell?
Yes, we
Yeah.
are all very much business majors. That's why we started this game, was to really do the economy of D&D.
Yeah, I need to watch that. What's that show called with the wolf girl
Spice
again?
and Wolf. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to take that? Where are you going to take that to? What are you going to do?
I mean,
with it?
my plan so far is to pretty much go right up to the front gate. Try to treat it as it was a regular, everyday occurrence. Like, oh yeah, I'm here on official business. I'm here to deliver this. That's it. Like, as though he pretty much knows nothing about the situation. Like, I'm just here. What's the
Is
deal, guys?
Grail-
I'm here to see him.
Are Grail and Lena going with you on this?
That was my question.
I would say so. I mean, a part of me wants to say no because it may be safer. But if they're like, yeah, sure, come on inside,
right.
then we lose that opportunity to get more people in. So I think the three of us going together is the better plan.
Okay.
Do you want to wait a little bit and give us a little bit of time to get through the sewer then?
I guess that's a good. The thing is, if for some reason they figure out what's going on in the sewer, it can ruin us getting top side, per se. I mean, I don't know how often they explore the sewer, but it is just below the city, so I don't know.
Give us like an hour. I say back in character now.
Oh, I am Spanish again.
Well, it'll take some time, I think, for us to get in disguise, so to speak, get in character. So I think you've got time.
Okay. And then Karash, Stewart, you guys are going to head to the sewers
With
Gothak.
Because I respect
Yes.
him.
Yes.
With
Now you
BJ.
do. Now that he gave you a 2 gold discount on linens,
Yeah.
you're like, now this guy's legit. All this information and this friendliness and stuff, I didn't care, but now.
There's like kind of like a haunting score that's playing as like we're going in our separate ways in slow motion and doing our own things as the episode comes to a close.
Mm-hmm. We're splitting the party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Scary.
so next time, our group, which may or may not be identified by the line that Stuart gives them, will put its plan in motion. We'll see how well it goes and what repercussions it has next time on the Anachroschism.